So we're going to start this morning semi-supine. Feet are hip distance apart, toes are pointing forwards, the feet are parallel. So just check in that the feet are parallel here. And then we're lying down on our back. The knees are bent, ensuring the knees are pointing up to the ceiling. You can have the hands on the belly or the hands out to the side with the palms facing up to the ceiling. So just working out what feels best this morning. Allow the shoulders to soften. And then have a little play with the feet. The further away the feet are from the body, the more support you're going to have for your lumbar spine. The closer the heels are to your body, the more natural curve you have in the lumbar spine. So just have a play with that. It changes for me every time I practice. And actually, as you know, I've been travelling a little bit the last few days, a bit crazy, so I'm feeling a bit stiff everywhere. But just work with where you are today. Remembering this is a morning class, so will naturally be a little bit stiffer than we might be in the evening class. I've got my hands on my belly this morning just to connect with the breath, but as I said, you can have your palms facing up. If it feels okay to do so, closing down the eyes. And bringing the senses internally here. Starting to connect with the breath. Now I'm going to use the breath as an anchor, as we always do in yoga. And just start observing the breath. So no judgment, just observation, how it feels, where it's going. Maybe it feels a little shallow this morning. Our breath naturally moves up into our upper chest if we're a little worried or anxious or uncertain. And that's fine, that's normal. What we're going to try and do is bring the breath all the way through into the torso this morning. So noticing where it's going, following the breath in and out through the nose if that's possible again this morning. Following it down through the throat, into the lungs. And aiming it to the belly. So we're trying to get our belly to expand in and out, full, complete breathing. We spend so much time not consciously breathing. We just allow it to happen. So we've got the time this morning to check in with our breath. And encourage it to expand, to slow down. Notice how the air is cool as it enters the body and warm as you exhale. Maybe you notice with the inhalation and the exhalation that one nostril is dominant. This is natural, this is normal. It tends to change every 2 to 3 hours. But again, just noticing and observing that. Noticing how the rib cage expands upwards and outwards and onto the mat. Maybe you have a sense of the diaphragm moving, the muscle under the rib cage, moving down as the lungs expand and moving back up as you exhale. Noticing the upper chest, the collarbones, and maybe even the shoulders moving as you breathe in and out. And if the mind wanders, bringing it back to focus on the breath. And if the breath is slowed down and you feel comfortable where you are, we're going to come into a Samavitri breath. So just taking time to breathe in and out for the same length of time. And maybe there's something you count in your head or using your fingertips on your body. But working with your body will all have a slightly different lung capacity, slightly different capacity for breath. So we're trying to breathe in and out for the same length of time. If you're breathing out, in and out for count of 4 or 5, maybe extending it if you feel you're able this morning to 5 or 6. Imagine that glass of water, your torso filling up with the breath. And then emptying the breath. Controlled pranayama. Do 3 more rounds of that, 3 more inhales and exhales. And then gently opening your eyes when you're ready. We're going to gently take our right knee in here. Put my hands clasped around my right knee and just giving that right knee a hug. So the left foot's still on the floor in that bent position. Bringing that right knee in. As I said, in the morning we tend to be stiffer. So we're just bringing some movement to the hips. And using the breath if things feeling a little bit tight. And then I'm taking the knee, that right knee with the right hand, taking that right knee out to the right side. Aiming here to try and get the hips and the pelvis, let them stay sort of an equal level. And then bringing the knee back in, taking the right knee with the left hand and taking it across the body, so just a little bit here. Coming back through centre, allow that foot to come back down to the ground, and we'll do it all on the left hand side. So I'm going to draw my left knee in there. Give the left knee a hug. Notice the difference between the left and right. I'm obviously dominant on my right side, so that was a bit stiffer. So just noticing it again. Taking the left knee out to the left side. Trying to keep the hips, the pelvis level. Coming back up to centre, holding the left knee with the right hand and taking the leg across the body. Coming back to centre and bringing both feet to the ground here. We're going to take our right arm across our body, so just bring it across the body. Again, we're just mobilising the shoulders. I've taken hold of my upper arm, my left hand there. Letting go of that side, and we'll do the exact same with the side. So I'm raising my left arm, taking it across my body, just encouraging it down a little bit further with the right hand. We're getting into the shoulder joints here, maybe a little in the triceps and biceps. Slowly waking the body up. And then coming back down to centre. This is where you're going to need your belt or makeshift belt. So as I was saying earlier, I do have a yoga belt. You might have a stretchy Pilates belt, which can work for this as well, or a dressing gown tie, or a belt, or a regular belt, sorry, I was just trying to say, or a men's tie. And I've got a few ties somewhere that always work as well. So we're lying down up into that semi-supine position. Familiar with this, we've done this quite a few times, we often do it in the past. I'm hooking the belt around the ball with my right foot. I've got to bend in that knee still, that right knee still bent. Just while I set up, I'm going to keep my left knee bent here as well. So that left knee is bent, the foot is still flat on the floor, toes pointing forwards. Reaching up, having your microphone in the knee to begin with. Now remember, you can hold the belt or whatever you're using on both sides. Just encourage the shoulders to drop down, or you can just hold it with your right hand if that feels more comfortable. Just make sure you're not hunching up and scrunching your neck and shoulders. And it's the muscles that make up the hamstrings, lengthen and soften. Maybe you can reach a little bit more, reaching through that heel. Imagine the foot is on the ceiling, but knowing if you've come a bit too far, just to bring it back again. Now remembering the leg is not weight bearing in this position, so it's safe to really straighten it. Breathing through this stretch. As you exhale, maybe you can go a little bit further. I'm going to take both ends of my strap or belt in my right hand, and I'm taking my right foot out towards the right side. Now I've got my left hand on my left hip or on the floor beside me. I tend to have it on my hip just to encourage my pelvis and my hips to try and stay level there. I'm not tipping too far. You can let your left knee fall out to the left side as a bit of a counterbalance, counterweight. But still reaching through the heel in the right foot. So it's a very similar movement we did with the legs bent. Obviously a little bit stronger now, moving into the hip joints, into the pelvis. And slowly coming back up to centre. I'm taking both sides of the strap on my left hand, so I'm still on the right foot here. And I'm taking my right foot across the body. This is where we get into the IT band, the outside of the right leg. This might be agony, it might be okay, just work with wherever you are. If you go too far, bring it back up. Make sure the left knee is still pointing up to the ceiling. I've kept the legs bent today just to keep us all safe online. So that knee is almost a reference, that left leg is a reference, so we don't go too far. We want to encourage the right hip, the right glutes down, and you're still reaching through the heel. And have the right hand on the floor if that helps as well to steady you. And then slowly coming back up to centre. and allowing that leg to come down. Might want to give the legs a shake, the knees a hug. You might want to straighten out the legs a little. Just do whatever you need to do before we go over to the other side. Just checking everybody's okay. All good? Yeah, fantastic. Yes. We're going to have the knees bent again. We'll do it all on the other side. So, again, settling down and popping your belt or strap, whatever you're using, around the board of the left foot. Have that bend in the left leg to begin with. The right knee, the right foot, so the right foot's on the ground, the right knee's pointing up to the ceiling. So just find a position here. Allow the shoulders to soften away from the ears. Trying to keep that openness in the chest. So either holding the belt on both sides or with the elbows down, or just in your left hand, whatever feels most comfortable for you this morning. And once you're there, reaching through the left heel. Noticing the difference between this left side and the right that we've just done. Breathing through any tightness. Knowing it's safe to straighten this left leg. We're not weight bearing. The knee's not weight bearing, so we're okay here. The knee's safe. Using the exhalation to extend a little bit further. And then we're going to be taking the left leg out to the left side. So taking the left leg out, allow the right knee to flop out a little to the right hand side as a counterbalance. We're still trying to keep the hips and the pelvis level. So just check in there. And if you feel you've gone too far, bring it up, bring the leg back a little. Again, we're still reaching through the heel of the left foot. And then slowly bringing that leg up to center, bringing the right knee in as well. We're going to change the grip. So we're holding the belt, the strap with the right hand. We're taking the left leg across the body. Keeping that right knee pointing up to the ceiling. Encouraging the left hip and glutes down. And reaching through that left heel. So getting into all the muscles along the IT band here. Noticing if it's a bit tighter on this side or the other. Using the breath to focus to work through any tension or tightness. Coming back through center, unhooking the belt and gently turning to one side to push yourself up to sitting. Oh, gosh. Put that belt out the way to begin with. So I'm going to get up my hips and knees sort of a bit squatting. You can use a towel or sit and kneel on whatever feels most comfortable. Trying to find a comfortable seated position. If kneeling or sitting cross-legged doesn't feel great this morning, knowing that you can grab a chair and sit on a chair. We're going to do a few shoulder movements and neck movements here. So just working where you can. To begin with, we're going to take the chin to the jugular notch just here at the base of the neck. So just giving the back of the neck a little bit of a stretch here. Gently taking the head up and taking the head back, but don't go too far if you know your neck doesn't like it or if it doesn't feel right this morning. Taking the gaze up. Coming back to center. I'm going to look over at my left shoulder. Maybe looking a little bit further, a little bit of a twist in the neck. Coming back to center, and then coming back over the right shoulder. Noticing the difference between both sides. There will naturally be a difference. You might feel this in the top, the shoulders, the trapezius muscles there. And coming back to center, and then ear to shoulder. So these are the three movements that the neck is designed to do. It's not really designed to do shoulder rolls like that, or neck rolls. We're just keeping everything quite safe this morning. I'm taking my left ear to my left shoulder. Quite a lot of stretch here. Maybe you drop the hand. Maybe you take the ear to the shoulder a little bit further to increase the stretch. Just again, working with your body, working where you can today. Slowly coming up and taking the right ear to the right shoulder. Allow the shoulder to come down, drop down. And coming back up to center. We're going to do my favourite ankle stretch. I know most of you know it. So we're on our knees here. We're going to make fists. If you've got a little bit of height, you've got a couple of books or anything that you want to use, we're lifting the knees up. So we're trying to stretch this top part of the foot here. Okay, so maybe you've got fists here and you're just coming up a little bit and coming down. Maybe you take the hands further back and you can come up a little bit further. Encourage the shoulders away from the ears here. Maybe you know this so well, we do it often in class, practicing at home, you can create a balance. I'm balancing on the tops of my feet and my hands are on my lap. Knowing that you can come in and come out of it, and if you're holding it, we're just going to hold it for 5 breaths. And gently coming out. We're going to stretch our toes. So the toe stretch. I'll come off the blanket so you can see this a little bit clearer. I'm on my knees. I'm physically spreading my toes because my toes don't like to do this on their own. So spreading the toes out. Again, to begin with, maybe you're here. Got fists here. That's just safer for the wrists. If your hands feel okay flat on the floor, that's okay to do. I've got tight wrists this morning, so I've made fists. My weight is there a little bit. If that's feeling okay, we can come back a little bit more. And maybe you're sitting right up. If you're sitting right up, feel that length in the spine all the way to the crown of the head. The hands can just be resting in the lap. Breathing through this. This is a stretch we don't often do. We don't usually stretch our toes, so it can feel quite tight. And gently coming out. Oof, I can feel that this morning. Wiggling the feet, the toes, just loosening everything off. I'm windscreen wipering my feet here, doing some movement to the ankles. Got to look after our feet. And we'll come into our cat-cow position. So my hands are under my shoulders, remembering Hatha bandha, the hand hook. So really spread the fingers here. My middle fingers are pointing forwards. If you know you're particularly bendy or hypermobile, you can turn the hands in just a touch. So there's a little bit of rotation there, but only if you know you're hypermobile. Otherwise, the middle fingers are pointing forwards. My inner elbows are pointing inwards as well. So that brings a rotation into the shoulders. So hands are flat on the floor, inner elbows pointing inwards, shoulders are away from ears. My knees are roughly under my hips. And I'm going to breathe in to look forwards, tip the belly towards the mat and take the sitting bones up to the ceiling. And then as I breathe out, I'm curling around the spine. It's like an angry cat position, pushing through my hands and looking towards my knees. That's sort of arched back, breathing in, allowing the belly to drop, sitting bones up to the ceiling, looking forwards, breathing out. Taking the spine up towards the ceiling, pushing through the hands for a bit more stretch in the top of the shoulders. So just working with this movement and making each part of the movement work with the breath. Don't worry if you lose track of the inhalation, exhalation, just making sure you breathe. As your belly drops towards the floor, we're imagining the sacred cows of India. And as we arch the back up, we're imagining that angry or scared cat. Really pushing through the hands to stretch over the trapezius muscles there. I'm doing one more in your own time. And then we're going to sit back in extended child's pose. So my big toes are together, my knees are wide apart, take glasses off. Knees nearly as wide as the mat. I can feel my big toes touching. And I'm going to creep through with my hands. Try to keep the hands shoulder width apart, so they're extending straight out from the shoulders. If you know you need a little bit of height and you've got a block or a towel or a blanket, you can put it under your forehead, just there. Encouraging the shoulders away from the ears. And here where we are, we want the glutes sitting on the heels here. That's what we're encouraging the glutes down. So maybe you bring the hands back a little bit if you've gone too far. And breathing here. Noticing the breath. Maybe creeping the hands forwards a little bit, the fingertips forwards, but still encouraging the shoulders away from the ears, the shoulder blades to draw down the back. We're going to creep the hands towards the left hand side. So we're still keeping the glutes down. We're looking for a little bit of a side stretch. So as you go towards the left, you'll find you feel a little bit of stretch down the right side of your body. The head, neck is in line. We're looking at the floor or the mat, creeping those hands forwards if we can a little. Coming back through to center and going over to the right hand side. So again, encouraging the glutes down, the hands are padding over to the right hand side. I'm getting a bit of a stretch down the left side of my body. And coming back through to center, we're going to take our hands all the way back. We're going to come up into our first downward dog, everyone's favorite. If you're near a skirting board at home, know that you can have the heels of the skirting board, which is a supported version there. Again, we're coming back to that cat pose. So hands are spread, fingers spread, inner elbows are coming inwards, shoulders away from ears. Take your time, we're going to tuck our toes and come into our first downward facing dog. Keep the knees bent to begin with. The feet are about hip distance apart, and I'm pushing into my hands. We're looking to find length in the spine, so not worrying too much about the legs at the moment. So find that length in the spine, encouraging the shoulders away from the ears. Inner elbows pointing inwards.
And maybe you start padding the feet, walking the dog, so taking one heel towards the mat and then the other. Just stretching into the back of the calf muscles.
And come and just check everyone's keeping safe. Allow the head and the neck to relax.
And then slowly coming down and taking a moment to catch your breath, knowing that you can always come down at any time. I'm going to have my hands start to under my forehead, or maybe you've got a bit of padding you can use just to create a bit more space. You can come into extended child's pose or have the hands behind your body.
Just allowing the breath to slow down a little. The heart rate to come back to normal. Notice in whichever position you're in with child's pose how the belly is restricted. Really use the lungs, the lung capacity here. Allow the lungs to expand outwards, upwards and towards the back of the body. And then just when you're ready, making your way into a second downward dog. So taking time to set your hands up, really spreading the hands, middle fingers pointing forward, inner elbows pointing in, shoulders away from ears, tucking the toes and coming into your downward facing dog. Maybe this time it's dynamic straight away, so you're bending into one knee and then into the other. Maybe you want a static version now. Have a micro bend in the knees, so we're not locking the knees. The sitting bones are reaching up to the ceiling, pushing into the hands to find that length in the spine. Make sure the feet are about hip distance apart, the toes are pointing forwards. Maybe nodding, shaking the head, checking the head, the neck relaxed. And knowing the heels don't need to be on the mat. We've all got different skeleton and a different body, so we're just working with our own bodies. Remembering to breathe. And then just when you're ready, coming down and taking a moment to rest in child's pose. Allow the breath to soften. Allow the heart rate to come back to normal. Slowly going to make our way up to Tadasana. Take your belt, or whatever you're using as a belt. Don't worry if you haven't got anything like that this morning. I'll be showing both versions with and without. I'm going to put it around my neck for now. So my feet are about hip distance apart, the toes are pointing forward. So really spread the toes here. Encourage the knees to be tracking over the ankles. Slight micro bend. So we're in mountain pose. Shoulders down. Strong mountains here. So I've got that lovely line, that length in the spine all the way to the crown of the head. We're going to take our belts, and if you haven't got one, you can do this just with the arms up and to the side. So whatever you're using, I'm going to hold my belt up to the ceiling here. Breathing in, breathing out to go down towards my right side. So we're creating another side stretch here. Trying to keep the weight even on both sides of the body. So the weight is even over both feet. We're reaching through here. Breathing in to come up. And then we're going down to the left-hand side. So exactly the same thing on the other side. Reaching through the hands, creating side stretch. Breathing in to come up and breathing out to come down.
Do a couple of shoulder rolls here and just bring some more movement to the shoulders, and then we'll come into a forward fold. So bring the shoulders up to the ears, right away from the body, and down and forwards. It's almost like you're taking the shoulder blades apart, up, together, and down. Really big movements here. And then coming back forwards, or the opposite way. And one more in that same direction. And allowing the shoulders to soften down. We'll come into our forward fold, Uttanasana. I'm going to demonstrate side on, just so you can see. Toes are pointing forwards again. I always teach it with hip distance apart, and some of you might prefer to have your feet together, so just making that decision now. Spreading the toes, lifting them up, spreading them, allowing them to come all the way down. Have that contact with the mat, four corners of each foot. I've got a slight bend in my knee, so I don't need to lock my knee in this position. Tiny micro bend here. I'm going to breathe in and raise my hands up, so the palms are facing inwards. Breathing out to fold forwards. Remember, you're leading with your chest. We're trying to fold from the hips and then coming down to wherever you get to. Keep that micro bend in the knee. As I know you know, I've got long hands, long arms. I can choose a little bit here. So it doesn't matter where you get to here. Just want to ensure the fold is from the hips. Allow the head, the neck to relax, to fall. The shoulders are away from the ears. If it feels more comfortable, you can hold opposite elbows. So Uttanasana, forward fold. Any inversion, anything where you feel a little bit upside down is great for the mind. So we're resting the mind here. It's another pose that's good for the lumbar spine, the lower back. If you're holding opposite elbows, let go. Bring the hands to the hips. We're bending into the knees a little bit more to come up. We're going to breathe in, push through the feet. The spine comes up as one in yoga, and then coming back down. Just coming close and check everyone's okay. Everyone's good. Yeah, fantastic. I've got my belt here again. We don't have to use it. We're going to do triangle pose, but if you've got something you've been using, you can use them. So just have it handy, probably around your shoulders or neck. Now with triangle, the distance between the feet is roughly a leg distance. It can be shorter, it can be wider. So again, we're working with our own bodies. I'm going to turn my left foot out to begin with, so it's perpendicular, and my right foot is coming in sort of 30 to 45 degrees there. I've got heel to instep alignment, so that's the line just there. And I'm going to encourage my body to face forwards, the legs straight. Now let's think about engaging the kneecap here. So lifting the kneecap, or engaging the quadriceps, tightening the quads here, tensing those muscles. That's to keep the knees safe. And my torso is roughly over my pelvis here. I'm going to reach out with the arms. I'm holding the belt just to keep my sort of alignment. It will help me, I'll show you in a second, my hips to stay back. Breathe in. Breathe out, reaching over that left leg. Now if I'm holding the belt like that, it helps me keep that alignment. If you haven't got a belt, don't worry. It doesn't matter where you come to, but just imagine your back is on a wall. So that's what we're aiming for. We don't want to see hips forward, back. Trying to keep that nice alignment. Now you can look towards your computer or iPad, you can look to the floor if the neck's feeling a bit niggly. If you want to challenge the balance, you can look up to the ceiling. Triangle pose. So encouraging that right hip back, making sure that left knee is engaged, the left quads are engaged, keeping the knees safe. Reaching up here. To come up, we're going to bend into the left knee, breathe in, come up and come down. Give the legs a little shake. I will do it all again on the other side. So this time, my right foot is turning out, my left foot is slightly in. Again, it's 30 to 45 degrees, and I've got that alignment, the heel to instep alignment just there. Shoulders are down, hips are facing forwards. I've got the torso in line with my hips here. Taking the belt or taking your arms out. Make sure, sorry, I should have said that earlier, make sure we're looking after the knee here. So the right knee is engaged, the right kneecap is lifting, the quads are lifting here. So taking the arms out, breathing in, breathing out, coming over that right leg, reaching up through the ceiling, encouraging that left hip back. If you're using the belt, really pulling to increase that length in the arms. If you haven't got a belt, just imagine the back of your body is against a wall. A lot of internal rotations going on here, so making sure you're really breathing in the torso. One more breath here. And then we're bending into that right knee to push through the foot to come up and come down. And get rid of this belt and props out the way. Do any movements you feel you need right now. I'd like us to practice chair pose. You all know it's one of my absolute favourites. I always joke that I teach it, so I actually do it, because I don't often do it in my own personal practice. So with chair pose, I'll just quickly show you, the knees are naturally going to come over the ankles here. I spend a lot of time saying, let's keep the knees above the ankles, keep the knees safe. When the knees come over the ankle, like we've just practiced in triangle pose, we want to keep these knees safe. So it's a feeling of lifting the kneecaps, which basically means engaging the quads here, and that's going to keep the knees really, really safe. And we don't want to let them collapse in or collapse out. So again, we're trying to keep the knees, so they're not above the ankles, but with that gap. Imagining you've got a balloon or block just there. So thinking about that as you come into chair. So the feet are about hip distance apart, finding that almost Tadasana, feet, toes are spread. We're going to be sitting down in a chair we can't quite reach. So take a moment, sitting back in that chair you can't quite reach, engaging the quads, keeping the knees safe. Shoulders are away from ears. We'll breathe in, raise the arms up. So my ears are almost in line with my upper arms, shoulders are away from the ears, and I'm breathing here. Just check the weight distribution is even over both feet. This is a strong pose. Holding it for 2 more breaths if you can. And when you're ready to come up, pushing into the feet to come up and allow the hands to come down. I'll let you catch your breath. You feel like a bit breathless talking at the same time. I'm just going to quickly show you our flying chair that we're going to do, which again we've done in class before, but just a little fresher. So take a moment just to watch. We come into chair, come onto tiptoes, take the hands back, bring the hands forwards, bring the heels down, and come all the way down. We're going to do it 3 times. I will talk you through it. I'm not going to talk through the breath because I just want to make sure you're breathing at this point. So try and make each movement work with an inhalation or exhalation. It doesn't matter which one it is, just ensure you're breathing. We have a tendency to hold our breath when something gets fluid, dynamic, or just a little bit of balance there. We hold it, so we just try and stay steady. So just ensure you're breathing. So set up your feet, the toes are spread, toes are pointing forwards, so a bit of gap there. Oh, big breath in and out. We're going to sit back into chair in 1 movement. So breathing in and sitting into our chair. And then we're coming onto our tiptoes, taking our hands back. Bringing our hands forward, staying on our tiptoes, dropping the heels back into chair, pushing up to come up to standing. We're going to do it 2 more times. So breathing in, coming into chair, remembering to continue breathing. As you fly forwards, come onto your tiptoes, bringing the arms forwards. We're still on our tiptoes in that balance. Drop the heels down. We're in our traditional chair pose and slowly come up. 1 last time, breathing in, coming into our chair pose. Floating forwards onto the tiptoes, taking the hands all the way back. Bringing the hands forward, staying on the tiptoes, dropping the heels to come into our traditional chair, pushing through the feet to come up. Take a moment to catch your breath. We're coming down, back down to the mat in just a moment. So making your way down, doing your shoulder rolls you feel you need to. Sometimes I go like that in chair pose, trying to hold it too hard. I'm going to come into Cobra, just so we'll do some gentle back bends here. There's an option, if you get into Cobra, to do Crocodile. Once you get into Cobra, if it feels too niggly on the lumbar spine and the lower back, Crocodile, the forearms are stacked, the forehead is down, and that's a really gentle version of a back bend. If you're coming into Crocodile, I'm going to give it a go. Sorry, Crocodile, Cobra. My hands are under my shoulders. My hands are spread here. So have a little feel. Where are the shoulders? Hands are there. Elbows are tucked in. We're going to breathe in to come up. So breathing in to come up. And we're going to be here for 2 or 3 breaths. So we want the hips and the pelvis to stay in contact with the mat. Elbows are still tucked in, shoulders away from ears. My hands are spread and I'm looking forwards. This is great for massaging the internal organs, the digestive system here. On the next exhalation, slowly coming back down. Have the hands under the forehead, either in Crocodile or just simply like that. Take a moment to catch the breath. We don't often do Cobra for that length of time, so it's quite a strong back bend. And then we're going to make our way into Sphinx. So it's another back bend, but slightly gentler. So my elbows are under my shoulders here. So it's a nice long line. My hands are spread. So again, thinking about that Hatha. Elbows under shoulders, hands are spread, and the palms are flat on the floor. So the forearms are taking quite a lot of the weight. You can push into the elbows or the forearms, shoulders away from ears here. We're going to breathe in, straightening that left arm and looking over the left shoulder. So I'm encouraging my hips and my pelvis to stay down. Just a little bit of a twist. Slowly coming back down to center, and we'll go over to the other side. So breathing and straightening the right arm, allowing your shoulder to drop down and looking over the right shoulder. Encouraging the belly and the hips and the pelvis to stay down. And then coming back down to center. There's a couple of very strong back bends. So as a little counter pose, we'll come into child's pose. Coming all the way down. I've got my knees and coming into traditional child's pose, but know that you can have the knees further apart. Tucking right round. And hopefully that's going to release the lumbar spine. We're going to take a moment to come up, roll on our back, Apanasana, which we often do. So lying on your back, taking your hands onto your knees, my fingers are pointing towards my toes, my head's soft, my shoulders are relaxed, giving my knees a hug. So it's almost like we've reversed our child's pose, but now we're able to move the legs a little bit. So bringing the knees in and out. Maybe you feel you want to make some circles. Just taking time to release the back and release the lumbar spine a slightly different way. We're going to come into tree pose lying down. So staying where you are. I like to practice tree pose lying down. We're getting similar movement in the hips. It takes the balance out of it, that sort of wobbly focus that sometimes we find we have. But it's a really lovely pose to do lying down as a reference point. So lying down on your mat. Your toes are pointing up to the ceiling, feet are flexed. Got my hands on my belly to begin with. Bring the right leg in and turn it out. So the right foot is going to be on or in contact with the left leg. It might be the thigh, it might be further down calf muscles. It's just keeping it away from the knee. Even though we're not standing, just keeping that reference there. The left toes are pointing up to the ceiling. We're allowing that right knee to flop out. Have a little feel for the iliac crest, the top of the hip bones there. Just noticing there. Cool. And then we're raising the arms and taking them behind us. So tree pose, lying down. Notice how it feels. We're getting a very similar stretch and movement as we would do standing, making sure that the left foot is engaged, the left toes are coming up to the ceiling. So it's like we're still standing on that foot. We're reaching up through the hands, and then carrying the shoulders away from the ears. Still an active pose, although we're lying down. Breathing in, bringing the arms back down to the body, and we're changing sides. So this time, the right foot is extending, the toes are pointing up to the ceiling, and the left knee is flipping out to the side. That left foot's in contact with the right leg, so pop the left foot either high up on the inner thigh or on the calf muscle. We're just avoiding the knee joint here. So wherever it comfortably comes to, notice the difference between the two sides. And on this side, I'm really rocking and feeling pretty unbalanced. Just take a moment to balance yourself here. The right foot is still active, the toes are pointing up to the ceiling, so it's almost like we're standing on that leg. We're going to breathe in and reach the hands behind us, shoulders away from the ears, palms are facing inwards. So we're getting quite a strong stretch around the hip and pelvis area, the belly's stretching out as well, sides of the body. And I like to do it lying down like this as a reference point. So this is it's very similar as how my body or my skeleton will be when I'm standing in this pose. Bring the hands back down to centre, that knee in, and giving the knees a hug as well. You might again notice there was a little bit of stretch in the lumbar spine there. That's quite natural. The hips almost move forwards, the pelvis moves forwards as we take a leg out. Now we're going to come into winding down, coming into our twists before we come into Shavasana. So hopefully you've got enough space to spread the arms out to each side. You can always cactus the arms as well. We'll draw the knees in and take the knees down to the right hand side. So encouraging the left shoulder down here, and if it feels okay for your neck, you can look over that left shoulder. So you're looking in the opposite direction to your knees. Breathing in, bringing the knees up, and taking them down to the left hand side. So bring the knees, the legs all the way to the floor. They're not hovering, the knees, the ankles as far as they can. It's a resting supine pose. We're encouraging that right shoulder down. Mind's not wanting to go there today. And we're looking over in the right side. So the gaze is the opposite direction to the knees. Slowly coming back up to centre and giving the knees one last hug. So make any final movements you want to or need to at this point. We are going to have a few minutes of Shavasana. So maybe you want to put socks on, or extra layers, or you've got a blanket handy you want to use. Wherever you get to or start with, start semi-supine like we did to begin with. We've just done some back bends, so it just allow the lower back to settle.
And if that feels very comfortable, you're very welcome to stay there. Or you can come into full Shavasana. So the feet are extending, toes are just flopping out. The feet are roughly hip distance apart. The hands are down by your sides, palms facing up to the ceiling to create that openness across the chest. I'll give you a moment to get into whichever comfortable position you feel you want to be in for relaxation today. So wherever you are, just concentrating on the breath, using the breath as an anchor again. So we're not trying to control it, we're not so much consciously breathing. We're using it as an anchor, we're following the breath in and out to allow stillness in the mind. If you're in full Shavasana, just checking in with the toes and the feet, allowing the feet to flop out to the side. Coming up through the backs of the calves, the kneecaps, the back of the knees, the thighs and the quads, feeling a softening, a lightness to all the muscles in the leg. Coming up to the hips and the pelvis and the glutes. Particularly the hips and the pelvis and the glutes, we tend to hold a lot of tension here. So allowing again a feeling of letting go, softening here, lightness. Allowing the belly to rise and fall with the breath and expand. A sense of softness and ease around the ribcage as the lungs expand upwards, outwards, and onto the back of your mat. Checking in here with your shoulders, allowing them to soften, to drop, to be supported by your mat. Allow the arms to be held by the ground, by the earth. And the hands, the fingers to lightly curl in as they naturally do when they're relaxed. Softening the jaw, allowing the tongue to drop into the bottom of the jaw. The softness of the face, feeling that the facial muscles are softening and spreading all the way to the crown of the head.
Starting to take 2 or 3 deeper breaths. Slowly awaken the body from relaxation. Taking your time, expanding the belly and the lungs. Maybe moving your fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Maybe feel like a full body stretch. Give the knees a hug. Make any circular movements that feel right at this point. Rolling over onto your right side. Take a moment there, curled up in that fetal position. That feeling of safety there on the right hand side. And then just when you're ready, coming up to a comfortable seated position for just the last few moments. Allowing shoulders to soften. Bringing the hands together at heart center. So joining both halves of the body together here. Still following the breath and just noticing how it feels. Maybe you've created a little bit more space for the breath. Maybe it feels a bit softer, a bit lighter, maybe fuller or longer. Notice how your body feels. Maybe you've released some tension or tightness. And just thank yourself for finding the time this morning to practice some yoga. I'm going to take my hands up to my forehead to remind us to have kind thoughts, to my lips to remind us to have kind words, and back down to my heart center to remind us of kind actions. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I hope it's worked. I will probably drop you all an email to double check it has worked. And that you could hear me okay and everything made sense. So any feedback, do let me know, but I'll drop you an email in a bit. I've recorded this class, it only records me, you'll be pleased to hear. So what I'm going to hopefully do is pop this on my YouTube channel. So slowly building up a few classes there, so you can access it at any time as well. Any questions, you know how to get hold of me, drop me an email, send me a text. But I'm hoping next week I'll have some sort of timetable schedule of classes. They might be at the usual times that you attend. I'll do a little poll because I know it might be better to do evening classes or morning classes specifically. Now it looks like the school's going to be off. And I will be hopefully continuing my kids and teens classes as well. So I'll start those for the attendees that I have already. And I've had a few requests from parents whose children now want to do a little bit of yoga as well. So I'll be starting some beginner classes for them. But thank you so much for being guinea pigs a little bit this morning. And I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully really soon. Look after yourself and stay safe. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.